make sure it wasn't their idea, but then leave it alone. What is your word of advice? Is that okay with you?
Absolutely not. And I doubt that this administration, that President Biden would send that sort of direction to the Justice Department. The Justice Department should be opening and closing investigations based on the facts that they find and the information that's presented to them. They should not be taking direction from the White House on how to pursue investigations, why they should keep open investigations that the facts, like here, didn't call for continuing. I don't see AG Garland taking that sort of direction from the White House, and I don't think the White House would give it. It's up to the Department of Justice to try to break away from this sordid and mercifully short history under former President Trump. And honestly, I'm not sure that you want DOJ doing that investigation entirely independently and internally. Maybe the time has come for Congress to get involved and to start calling people up to the Hill, putting them, sitting them down in front of the microphone and collecting some testimony so we all find out about the sort of activities that were going on under Sessions and Trump.
Norm, don't get mad at me. But doesn't Congress kind of stink at this? I mean, how many hearings have we watched where they have people come on where it becomes like a circus and they're all trying to pose with their questions? Sometimes people do well. Sometimes people evince testimony when they have people like you putting all the ideas in their head. But most of the time, they're not that great at this, are they?
Chris, that's why you bring in outside counsel. I had the privilege of doing it in the first impeachment, of examining witnesses, kicking off the hearing by examining the witnesses, and then the members ask their question. So in every important investigation of the modern times, from Watergate on down, they've brought in outside counsel to help do the work, to help organize the work. That's what's going to be needed. I agree with Andy. I think Congress needs to look at this, and they need to do a serious inquiry, either with a capable counsel from the outside, or staff counsel can also very ably ask questions. Lead the inquiry. Let's figure out what happened. Let's pass a law so that it's not just a matter of, oh, you violated ethics rules. DOJ internal ethics rules, by the way, say you can't pursue investigations for political reasons or to curry favor with the president. But that's not enough. We need tougher restrictions here. Frankly, for the really outrageous abuses, we may need not only civil remedies, but also criminal ones. We can't let this happen again in America. It's just too dangerous.
Dana, last word to you, and any feel for the stomach of the Biden administration to go after this?
Well, it depends on how you define going after this, right? I mean, it seems to me that these two notions of DOJ doing an internal investigation and Congress doing its own investigation are not mutually exclusive. Part of the problem, as you were alluding to, Chris, is that Congress can have public hearings, and those are incredibly important, but it quickly devolves into partisanship. And the benefit of an IG report, in addition to that, is that it is independent. Yes, it's internal. Maybe there's another way to do it, but it seems to have more credibility because it comes from within, as opposed to Congress, which is incredibly partisan. Never mind the fact that we are talking about members of Congress who were the victims here. They were the ones who were investigated in a way that does not seem appropriate.
Well, if we've learned anything recently, it's that Congress won't necessarily go after something, even if they are the targets and victims of the situation.
Yeah,
they wouldn't even investigate January 6th.
Good point.
But look, the way to do this is, I had your better minds. This is beautiful. Now we got to hear from Chairman Schiff, because if anybody's going to push the ball forward, he will. So thanks to them. And now there is the chairman. We'll take a break. We'll come back. When did he learn about this? What does he think about this? Why does he think this happened? And what does he think has to happen now? Next.
Yet a young Japanese scientist, still only a student, may have a solution.
GSC is an innovative machine which removes carbon dioxide from the air directly to avoid global warming. I realized that instead of simply focusing on zero CO2 emissions, it was better to capture CO2 and make the amount negative.
With AI functions that allow it to hold conversations, this machine is popular among children and encourages them to think about global warming.
I think that this machine will be a trigger to change individual consciousness. I will make 7.5 billion GSD and spread it all over the world. 今日の二酸化炭素の回収量は
3.5リットルだよ。
I'm Bianca Nobilo outside London, and this is CNN.
Businesses are transforming, preparing for a future where innovation will change the way we live and work.
It's going to be, and it is, the most significant development in portable takes in 65 years.
It is an essential building block in providing clean and affordable drinking water.
Explore the future of business. Go to cnn.com/businessevolve in association with Vodafone Business.
This is the 100 Club, our look at companies that are 100 years old or older.
When I talk to anybody and tell them I work at Crayola, they always have a story to share about their first box, their first 64 count box, or the 24 count box that they used for school.
Crayola, the name synonymous with crayons, actually began 116 years ago under a different name, Binney and Smith, the company's founders. In 1903, the Crayola brand was born with the first box of crayons in 8 colors.
We were selling Crayola chalk in schools, and we noticed that the kids didn't have any colored wax sticks to color with. And so our founders, Binney and Smith, wanted to create a wax crayon that would be affordable for kids to use in the classroom.
I'm Nick Watt in Los Angeles, and this is CNN.
All right, let's bring in one of the men at the middle of this breaking news about the Trump abuse of power, using the Department of Justice to go after political opponents. House Intel Committee Chair, Congressman Adam Schiff. Thank you for joining us on short notice, sir.
Bet. Good to be with you.
Let's start with a non-political question. How did you feel when you learned that you were being targeted this way by the United States government?
Shocked on the one hand, not surprised on the other. I did wonder, for a few years, with the president calling for our committee to be investigated, calling for me to be investigated, whether, the department was going to do it. Certainly it looks like they were going after records of the committee, including my own. What they were looking for, I still don't know. Apparently they didn't find anything, but when they wanted to close down the investigation, Barr wouldn't let them. It's just another terrible abuse of the rule of law, the Department of Justice. I spent almost 6 years with the Department of Justice. I love my experience there. I venerate the department, and to see how it was turned into this bludgeon to go after the president's enemies and a shield to protect those who lied for him, people like Roger Stone and Mike Flynn and others. It's disgraceful, but it's also such a body blow to our democracy.
Does it matter to you that they used grand juries to get this subpoena? Does that add legitimacy to the efforts?
That doesn't add legitimacy. It just kind of expands the abuse to abuse the grand jury process in this way. And, you know, while I can't go into who received these subpoenas or whose records were sought, I can't say that it was extraordinarily broad. People having nothing to do with you know, the intelligence matters that are at least being reported on. It just shows what a broad fishing expedition it was. And so many norms were broken in connection with this. The norm of a president not involving himself in specific cases. Here you got the president calling on his opponents to be investigated. The norm of the president seeking records from a member of Congress and staff and doing so on a partisan basis. Going after a committee that was investigating him. You know, one guardrail after another just smashed by this unethical former president. And just shows you how much we are reliant on people to say no. And if they don't stand up to an unethical president, how quickly the guardrails can come down.
Well, two shocking things here. One, the situation is actually a little bit more perverse than even you suggested, because according to the New York Times, and as seconded by CNN in major part, the cases were looked at under Sessions, closed. Barr comes in 2020, and it's not just about keeping them going, it's restarting. He brings in somebody new, he creates a new circle of trust, he is told by staffers, yeah, there's really nothing there, that's why the case is closed, and reopens them. And the only thing that changed during that period, other than him, was Trump saying he wanted you looked at. Have you ever heard of anything like this before?
No, certainly not. And, you know, we brought about these new norms after Watergate to prevent exactly this kind of abuse. But they didn't survive this presidency. And but it is shocking. At the same time, look, Bill Barr lied to the country about the Mueller report. He lied to Congress about what he was aware of, Mueller's objections to his false summary. He had a long pattern of duplicity, as well as intervening in specific cases of Roger Stone and Mike Flynn to try to protect those who were lying to cover up for the president, and to authorize investigations of his opponents. And so, you know, I view Bill Barr as the second most dangerous person in the country after Donald Trump, and this is just further proof of that claim.
Without revealing their identities, to your knowledge, how many people were swept up in this effort in terms of looking at people's records?
You know, a lot. And the reality is, I don't really know how many, because, and I think we'll find out more now that the story has broken, because people got these notices, these emails from Apple and thought they were either spam or that they were, you know, some kind of a spear phishing